Is the fourth day of the month of Gislev, and Pesachim Baruch. We are almost at the end of the fifth parak of Maseches Pesachim, and we are 2 lines from the top of Samach Amud Aleph, which is our Amud for today. Says the Gemara, quoting from the Mishnah, Yatzakash Shoshana, that the first group left. There were 3 groups. There had to be 3 groups, each of 30, as we noted in yesterday's Amud. The Gemara tells us Yasakash Rishon. That's what the Mishnah says. Tana says the Brisa as follows: He nikreis kas atzlanis. This third group is called the lazy group. The lazy group, because they didn't show up early. Also, the Gemara. Hold on a second. That's not fair. But you have to have a third group. You have to have 3 groups at least of 30. So how do you call them the lazy group? You have to have it there. So says the Gemara, what are they supposed to do? Says the Gemara, even so, they, the individuals that are there, should have hurried up. As the Brisa teaches us, Rabbi says, the world needs both people that are involved in some perfume merchants and bursi. The world cannot survive without these things. Bursi is a tanner. Somebody that works in perfumes smells nice things all day. Somebody that works as a tanner, we know from a number of places in Shas, that is a very unpleasant profession, because you smell like the materials, like the chemicals that are used in the tanning process. Says Rebbe, nevertheless, Ashri mi she'umana sebasam. Happy is he who works as a perfume merchant. And woe is to a person that ends up involved in leather tanning. The world cannot handle. It cannot survive without males and females. Ashri mi she'banav zacharim. Happy is he who has male children, and that means that if they only have female children, meaning at the end of the day, everybody is necessary. It's a question of everything has to be there, but you want things that are going to be better for you, and that's the Maseches. So it's true that somebody has to be in the third group, but why have it be you? That's how the Gemara is explaining here. Okay. And then we had explained K'maaseh B'chol, the same way that it was done on a weekday. That's how it was done on Shabbos, meaning they mopped the floors. And then the Mishnah told us that was done Shalei B'ratzon Chachamim, that was done without the consent of the Chachamim. The Chachamim did not approve of the floor mopping that the Kohanim did. Says the Gemara, Shalei B'ratzon Man, who's the Chachamim that didn't like this? Amar Rav Chisda says, Shalei B'ratzon Rabbi Eliezer. It's not with the opinion. It's not according to the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. Di'i Rabbanan, because in accordance to the opinion of the Rabbanan, Di'i Rabbanan ha Amri Shavus hu. The Rabbanan hold that this is a Shavus, that this is only an Isur de Rabbanan. Ve'ein Shavus b'mikdash, and since it's an Isur de Rabbanan, there's no Isur of doing so in the Beis Hamikdash, because we have a principle of Ein Shavus b'mikdash that the Chachamim didn't answer things in the Beis Hamikdash, only dinim daraisa, no dinim darabanan. It's not 1,000% glat in every case, but as a general rule, they didn't make shvus in the Beis Hamikdash. So says the Gemara, Mahi, what exactly is this machlokes between Rabbi Eliezer and the other Chachamim? The Tanya, we have a brisa that says as follows: Echad hacholev, both one who cholev, who milks, ve'hamechavitz, and one who curdles milk, v'amegavin. I mean, the curdling is to make butter. V'amegavin, one who makes it into cheese. K'groi geres, the size of a fig, of a dried fig. That's the size of a groi geres. Hamechabed, one who sweeps the floor of the house. That's the operating line over here. Hamechabed v'hamarbetz, one who lays the dust. What exactly does it mean? It means that he wets the floor so that the dust, and they didn't have tile floors. It was all earth floors. So if you sweep the floor, or if you're marbit, you pack it in with water. V'haroide, and a person that v'haroide chalas dvash, and somebody that removes chalas dvash is honeycomb, meaning peel of the honeycomb. In all of these cases, b'shoigig b'Shabbos chayiv chatas. If a person would violate, would do this on Shabbos, it would be an issur d'oraisa. On Shabbos, you'd be chayiv chatas. Hazid b'yamtev, and if you would do so intentionally on a yamtev, lokas arbaim, he would get malchus for this. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer, this is the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. And notably, this includes within it sweeping the floor. The Chachamim of the opinion both this and this is because of a shavus. It's an issur d'Rabbanan. It is not an issur d'oraisa, meaning all of these. The Chacham said echad zeh ve'echad zeh, meaning sweeping the floor. The way the Rashi explains, marbit. They told us av malachaninu. The other ones that are listed are in fact isurim d'oraisa, but the Chacham disagree with regards to sweeping the floor, packing in the dirt of the floor with water, and roide chalas d'vash. Says the Gemara as follows. This must be the opinion of Shalei Ratzon Chacham, is the Shalei Ratzon Rabbi Eliezer. Rav Ashi says, no, you could expand it a little bit. I feel Shalei Ratzon Chachamim v'Rab Nosson. You could say that it was against the consent of the Chachamim, and this is the opinion of Reb Nosson. Why Reb Nosson teaches us the Tanya, Reb Nosson, Aymer Shavus Tzricha Heteru, Shushein Tzricha Lo Heteru. It depends. A Shavus that was necessary in the Beis Hamikdash for the Avodah, that was mutter. If it was not necessary, for avodah in the Beis Hamikdash, then lo heteru, then they would not allow it. And then this understanding of Rav Ashi is that it was not necessary for the avodah to sweep the floor of the Beis Hamikdash. Rabbi Yehuda teaches us. This was the din in the Mishnah. Kais ayim amala, that they would fill up a cup of the blood that was on the floor. He would fill up one of these Pasachim or another cup, and then he would throw one chuck of that blood onto the wall of the mizbech to fall onto the side. And that was a machlokes. So what exactly is this machlokes, Tanya? We have a brayso that says as follows: Rabbi Yehuda teaches us. There was a cup that was filled up of the tarevis of all of the mixtures of blood. Because if one of the bazichin that had been filled up with the blood of this carbon had spilled, there would still be a saving grace, that a little bit of that blood would still be thrown onto the mizbech, because all the extra blood that was running over, and we'll see how in a moment, that would end up getting thrown onto the mizbech. And therefore, if you ended up with somebody whose carbon, the blood didn't get spilled in the mizbech because didn't get poured, who were thrown onto the mizbech, that he would end up with his carbon being puzzled, because it didn't end up with Zrikas Adam. This, like all the extra blood that were collected, they would throw onto the mizbech, it would make sure that it worked. So Amr Loi Rabbi Yehuda, they said to Rabbi Yehuda, yeah, but this blood that you're sweeping up, it wasn't niskabel b'kli, and it needs to be niskabel b'kli. It has to be received in a vessel, in kli sharis, in order for it to be thrown into the mizbech. You can't just sweep it up off the floor and then throw it on the mizbech. How do they know? Interrupting this question here. How do the Chacham know that this wasn't collected with the kli? No. This is what they're saying to Rabbi Yehuda. This is what they're saying. Maybe it wasn't accepted in a kli. Maybe this bit of blood that you picked up off the floor wasn't niskabel b'kli. Amar lahem, he said to them, Af ani lo amarti elo b'niskabel b'kli. I agree with you. It needs to have kabbalah b'kli. Mina yada. How does he know that all of this blood was collected in a kli? Because Kohanim shishim him. Because the Kohanim were very good at their jobs. They were zers. They were very careful in the things that they did, and they made sure that all of the blood that was from the karbanos that were shechted, they were niskabel in a kli. Says the Gemara, okay, you can't have it both ways. It's reason if they are so good at what they do, mishtapich, then why would any of it spill? Meaning, you're saying that you should collect all the blood that fell on the floor, so that if some of it spilled, how's it going to end up on the floor? If they're really good at what they do, how's it going to end up on the floor? It's gonna end up in the kli as it is supposed to. Says the Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda is teaching us, and this is an important klal in life in general, I suppose. Agav zriza sayu da'avid mishnapech. Sometimes when you're very quick and very expert at what you're doing, you make mistakes from time to time. Agav zriza sayu, because there, Rashi says, shemarim larutz v'lekarev v'lizroik mis yashid miyadayu. Sometimes it'll happen. It's gonna slip out of their hands. As a result of them running around, because they're trying to move so quickly. Says the Gemara, okay, fine. So what was the problem that Chacham had with Rabbi Yehuda? Halei dam hatamsis murvay. Yeah, but that's not the blood that is that comes out when you do the shechita. That blood, the majority of the blood, it was on the floor of the Beis Hamikdash, was not the dam that nefesh is yotze by. It was dam hatamsis. It was the extra blood that spilled out after the life blood came out. Rabbi Yehuda Latame says the Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda holds the Amar dam hatamsis dam alihu. The blood that's called dam hatamsis is dam alihu. It is blood l'chol davar. And therefore, it can be thrown on the mizbech, and you'll be yotze with that. And we'll see in a moment, Tanya, the Brisa teaches us, dam hatamsis ba'azar, that dam hatamsis, that blood that is drained, is an issa deraisa. But Rabbi Yehuda Omer b'ikaris. Rabbi Yehuda holds that it's an issa karis, meaning there's two kinds of blood. There's the blood that the nefesh is yotze by, and then there's dam hatamsis, the blood that comes afterwards. The Chachamim are of the opinion that dam hatamsis is a lower level of Isur because it's a lower level of blood. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, it is exactly the same thing. V'amar Rabbi Lazar, but didn't Rabbi Lazar say Rabbi Yehuda le'inyan kapara, that Rabbi Yehuda holds with regards to kapara she'ein mechaper, that the dam hatamsis doesn't give you kapara? He agrees to that. Shenemar, the pasuk says ki adamhu b'nefesh yechaper, because the dam that comes out through the nefesh yechaper, that blood is going to be mechaper. Says the Gemara, yet dam she'an nefesh yotze by mechaper, dam she'ein nefesh yotze by in mechaper. The blood turning onto some ways, the dam that comes out, she'nefesh yotze by mechaper, that creates kapara. Dam she'ein nefesh yotze by, the blood that comes out thereafter in mechaper doesn't create a kapara. So how does this work? Ella Rabbi Yehuda l'tameh. Rather, you have to say that Rabbi Yehuda is consistent with his rationale. The Amar ein dam mevatel dam. Yeah, it's true that there is dam hatamsis along with the dam shanefesh yotze by that are all on the floor of the Beis Hamikdash. But he is of the opinion that ein dam mevatel dam, that the tarivus of blood isn't going to create bittul. That there's no bittul if you have this blood and that blood all together. And Be'ezhem Yisbarach, we will continue with the raya for this on Samachei Amud base tomorrow, and we also will be finishing the 5th parak, Be'ezhem Yisbarach, and beginning the 6th parak of Maseches Pesachim. Hope everybody is doing well, and everybody has a wonderful day. We will see Be'ezhem Yisbarach tomorrow.